And we start with the Rams, a win total over under 10.5. The over minus 120. They went 12-5 last year. Of course, won the Super Bowl. They lost a lot, this offseason. That happens when you win the Super Bowl. Sometimes that attrition is just naturally built in. Von Miller signed with the Bills in free agency is kind of a shocker. Robert Woods was traded to Tennessee. Sony Michel departed for the Dolphins. Andrew Whitworth, this is probably the biggest one, retired, and that's got to be a concern. They also lost Austin Corbett on the offensive line, and they signed Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner to two big ticket free agent guys that they picked up. 10.5 wins, over under. Jordan, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of interesting because last year this was the exact line as well, 10.5 wins, except it was plus money on the over. I urged you guys on CBSSports.com to take that. Of course, it came through. In fact, on February 8th last year, I urged you to take the Rams to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,300, and that cashed as well. I think it's pretty interesting that line is kind of the same, except the juice has flipped. I think it's at minus 125 now over at Caesars Sportsbook. But I will say this. You mentioned that the Rams maybe got a little bit worse. Maybe they fell off just a little bit in the division. Well, at the same time, I think you could make the argument that the other teams in the NFC West maybe took somewhat of a step backwards as well, talking about Russell Wilson leaving. We don't know how good the Cardinals are going to be. Trey Lance is a question mark at quarterback for the 49ers. So, yeah, I'm taking the over when it comes to this win total.
I couldn't possibly take the under, man. I mean, yeah, you start with the Bills. You got the Cowboys in the front of the schedule, but Bills at home, Falcons at home, at the Cardinals, at the Niners, Cowboys at home, Panthers at home. Like, they're probably worst case 4-2.
I was even going to say, 5-1.
I would pick 5-1 if I were doing it. I'm just like, to be conservative, let's say 4-2.
Sure.
Let's say they lose to the Bills and the 49ers, but I mean, yeah, and they could easily beat the Bills, of course. The 49ers after the bye at home, at Tampa, Arizona at home, at New Orleans, at KC, but they also get the Seahawks and the Raiders at home before they go to Green Bay, Broncos, at Chargers, at Seahawks. It is not an easy schedule per se, but this is going to be a good football team again. And I think one of the things that people forget about the Rams is it's Matthew Stafford's second year with Sean McVay. Like, he should take not like a huge step forward, but I would expect him to cut down a little bit on the interceptions and maybe be a little bit more efficient in terms of his accuracy and how he operates the offense. And I think he has huge numbers. And I think the Rams are still one of the best teams in football, as I said. And there's no way I'm getting in front of that. Like, they should win 2 against Seattle. You got the Raiders. We mentioned they're probably 5-1 or 4-2 to start. So, like, you really have to get like 2 of the coin flip games going your way, and you're already at 10 right there. So I will definitely take the over for the Rams.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's a tough schedule. According to the combined opponents win total from last year, it is the toughest schedule in the NFL. But here's another thing to keep in mind. I mean, I get the Rams don't have the number 1 home field advantage in the league, but they virtually get 10 home games in 2022 after having just 8 last year in the regular season. The other thing that really kind of stuck out to me about this schedule is they get the 49ers twice in the first 8 weeks. I would rather catch that 49ers team early in the year as opposed to late. I think that's going to be very important as well. The Cardinals in week 3, that's a great time to get them. They're not going to have DeAndre Hopkins as well. That's why we counted that as a win. So, I think that the Rams get off to a really hot start. But as you mentioned, it definitely gets trickier down the stretch. But still, if we're talking about the over-under win total, I don't think they get to what they were 12-5 last year or so. I think that 11, maybe 11-6. That would obviously hit the over. I think that's my official projection. Would maybe be around 11-6.
I think 10 wins is their floor. Like, just how good the team is going to be, how well coached they are, the consistency they have coming back. I have concerns about the offensive line for sure, but I think the Rams will figure out a way to fix those, to alleviate those concerns, and they go over this total.